to pray. There's no angels where I go, only pieces that are broken, scattered dreams across the floor. I'm home.
Alrighty, hello everybody, this is Kirsho here. Now before I begin, I actually did have a bit of a question. So, I just got paid from work, and I've actually been looking into different microphones that I can try and use for my phone to improve my audio. Because, well, I do need to get like a sound muffler for my mic. I thought about just getting one of those, but you know there'd be that place that would sell them for a weirdly big price, just for a weird pack of ones that barely even cover it. So I decided just to buy a new mic, if not go out of my way to put money aside to buy a microphone. So if you guys can tell me if any of you know a good one that I can look into and check, that would be very helpful. Now, with that being said, I'm going to be recording for the day. Hopefully it's quiet later. It's never quiet later. Now, with that being said, let's begin. When we last left off, Ida had just come onto the ship, and he was just introduced to the fact that he's in space. Everyone's been, abducted by aliens, except for Kendo and him. Along with that, learning that the nanites in his brother's system are essentially alien tech is a bit confusing. Along with the fact that looking at the neomorph nearly made him shit his pants, because he did not expect to see that little thing scurrying around the ship. Now, with that being said, it has been about, let's say, 2 to 3 hours as they're still floating around in space, as Ida's calmed down. If not, he's at least calmer than a person should be in a situation. Now, this is whenever Deku, he would just try to explain to Ida that this is a bit harder to explain. In fact, Kendo, she did actually freak out a little bit, but she eventually got over it. However, her reaction to Yaoja was a bit more, different. A what? Oh, they're the race that kidnapped us. The aliens? Well, yes, actually. They're a race of aliens that are not too dissimilar to us. Basically, they have a higher nitrogen on their planet along with more oxygen. Basically, they're on a warmer version of our planet. Okay. Well, I'm not sure how to respond to this. Well, don't worry. But with the fact that you now know about this, there's also one thing. You do have a bit of pent-up rage, so I would say we do have a little bit of time before the exams, so I can at least, I would say I can introduce you to the Yaoja, but I'm not even sure if we'd have enough time for the trip. So, I'm gonna have to put in an order to the mothership. What? Well, they're gonna be with us now. You know this little secret, and you're basically one of us now. She is too, but she doesn't have one of these. As Ida just stares at Deku's forehead. You would finally ask about that, and Deku would just explain the whole mark thing. Everyone has one, and it's basically from a xenomorph. Explaining what that is in better detail. Which is whenever he would just turn to Mina, asking exactly how was her mark then. Same way. Wait, they're that acid? There's that much acid in one of those things? No, their acid is just very corrosive. Oh. Okay. Now, with that being said, let us cut to the next couple of days, where the final exams are going to be taking place. Now, Deku and Momo, they're talking a bit. And, well, Momo is explaining that she talked with All Might. In fact, he has been somewhat confused on how she's using Black Whip or to why she has another quirk. He would have tried explaining that that quirk may be from one of the previous users, but he's not too sure, so he would have begun looking into it. Now, since All Might did not get injured during the USJ, I do want to say he still has a 6-hour time limit. If not, I believe higher. I will have to look into that because I didn't say he buffed up any time during the 10 months of training, and that would have vastly taken down his time limit. Okay, now, with that being said, Deku and Momo would begin. Deku would see that Momo actually got a bit of modifications for her hero outfit, as she does wear a version of the suits they use under their armor. It's just that hers has certain patches on her arms, her legs, her knees, her thighs, and Deku would just point this out, asking about that, along with the fact that she actually does somewhat wear gloves with holes on them. She would explain that she actually does use these so that she can use Black Whip, along with the fact that she would hold out her palm and she would flip her hand over, as Deku would see Black Whip just form in her palm as she actually just form it through the gloves too, being actually very fascinated by this. Now, with that, she doesn't really need to use the wrist braces anymore, since she can use Black Whip to form weapons. But she still prefers them, so she would at least wear them as armor. Now, with that, Deku, he would just begin. It is going to be Deku and Momo versus All Might. Now, the fact being that Deku, he's been so, well, his quirk has been tested ever since he was young, advancing and leaping bounds from a young age, because he's been thrown into different environments every point of his life, along with the fact being adjusting to Earth after 4 years, then completely having to adapt to a different environment every step of the way. That can push you, especially whenever your quirk is that versatile. So, let's begin. Deku, he immediately just walks in as he does one simple thing. Now, Deku, he does begin to stretch as he actually just crack his knuckles and begin cracking parts of his body, as people are watching him do this. They would immediately watch as he does pull back his hair and actually form it into a smaller bun, if not, at least put it into a small ponytail, as his hair has grown back somewhat good. Now, people would actually be looking at Deku as they do see the mark on his forehead. Some of them have forgotten about it, some of them just don't mention it. Now, let us begin. Momo, she immediately charges up one for all, as she brings herself up to 70%, getting ready to fight with All Might. As All Might would throw a punch, Momo would do the same, countering All Might, and they would begin to rush forward. Deku was actually able to keep up with Momo for a second, but not for very long, as he is just running on all fours like a beast, if not like an animal. As he does so, he would immediately just lunge upwards, jumping as Momo would immediately go to try and restrain All Might. All Might would have actually blitzed her by increasing his power output from 20% to about 70% in less than a second, immediately appearing behind her as he would immediately just sock her. Well, let's say he actually just kick her and send her flying. Cause, yeah, I do want to say I can see All Might doing that. He wouldn't just punch you from behind because you just fall into the ground. So he'd kick you upwards so you can actually go distance instead of just falling in front of him. Now, with that being said, Momo will be sent flying as she does try and recover. She actually would somewhat recover in midair, being able to throw out Black Whip and actually just catching onto a building, as she would try pulling herself forward, breaking the building, if not making that part fall off, as she gets flying back in the battle. Now, Deku, he immediately brings his hands up to block, as All Might would just punch him. He does punch Deku in the arms, and this actually does break through Deku's defense, as he gets sent flying even further. Now, Deku immediately begins to start adapting, as his arms do get covered in a rubber, and All Might does see this happening. He's beginning to realize that Deku, he might be the more dangerous opponent here. Yes, Momo has one for all, but Deku, he has a quirk specifically made for combat. Along with the fact that being trained by Yaojas, this is not very good. Although this boy has shown progress. Being able to fight something like the Nomu, but needing help, these two were able to take it down, if not hold it off long enough. But with my time limit, I should be able to do this, if not push them. Now, Deku would immediately start charging All Might, as he actually does form claws on his fingers, immediately rushing in. He does try and slash at All Might, as All Might would actually just move out of the way, if not take this scratch, without it even phasing him, as Momo would just run in, socking All Might in the chest, sending him flying. As All Might gets thrown through a couple buildings, Deku, he immediately just turns his head looking at her, as he actually just tried adapting more. Now, he's forcing his body to adapt, which is not good. Now, he does try doing one simple thing. He's trying to take on more aspects of the Yaoja because their bodies are physically stronger. But he also is trying to do another. He's thinking about what happens if he does try combining aspects of the Yaoja and the aliens. The aliens have acidic blood, this would help him a lot. Along with the fact that if he does have an extra limb, if not have good ways to combat All Might, aside from just his standard body, this could actually work even better. So he begins to transform, if you can say, as his body does begin to take on the size, if not grow, to the point where he looks 7 feet tall, around the size of All Might. As people are just watching him, his skin just begins to turn a very odd color. It turns into the reptilian type of green, but it actually just turned into a darker shade. So a dark, if not to a not lime green. I do not know. I don't pay attention to those. Yeah. I don't remember what kind of green it's called, but it's like a very, very dark green. And he actually does somewhat begin to, have his fingers spike out more as they get longer, as his body does lean out a bit and you can see him transforming. As Deku has just turned into, if not tried adapting to the point where he is mimicking a species of alien. Now his blood is not acidic, but you can clearly see that he is growing a tail. Along with the fact that this tail is actually spiky, if not very weird. As Deku immediately starts charging at All Might. Now he's actually running at the point where he's making very good leaps, if not he's covering a very fast distance. He's going, I want to say, 150 miles an hour, as he would immediately run in, trying to smash an All Might, if not throw a punch. This actually somewhat hurting All Might, sending him at least, not colliding backwards, but knocking him back 10 feet, while he still blocked it. All Might would begin trying to grab at Deku, as Deku would immediately swing around, stabbing, if not trying to get through All Might's skin in his arm, by trying to slash at him with his tail. This would not work, as Deku didn't make this thing correctly. Now, he would immediately just do one thing. He unadapts the tail, if not he tries making it longer to wrap around All Might's arm. And he immediately begins to try and grab on it, if not try and, break it. Deku immediately starts pulling on it, as All Might is fighting against him. Momo would just send All Might careening through a building by using Black Whip to grab him by one of his legs and start swinging him around. As she would have done so, All Might would have been sent flying as Deku is holding on. As Deku is finally adapting to the point where he was growing more muscle again, and he would immediately just pull All Might's arm backwards, dislocating it out of the socket. as he finally did so. All Might would have somewhat screamed, if not he would have tried staying calm about this, as he would immediately bring his arm outwards, grabbing Deku by the face, and immediately just tearing off his mask, as he'd be staring at Deku's face. He would realize that Deku, he is actually a bit, well, I believe it's called Warrior's Madness. All Might just watching as Deku, he is actually bleeding from one of his eyes, if not from his face. All Might would have actually tried pushing Deku away, if not just pulling him away from his arm, as Deku would have finally let go, jumping backwards and immediately unadapting, as All Might just watched Deku actually bring out his gauntlets, if not his blades, as Momo would just charge in, immediately coming upward through the ground of the building, grabbing All Might by the legs and immediately just pulling him down as hard as she can. She began by amping herself up to 80%, which is where she's now able to at least contend, if not go against All Might for an extended period. This is fairly dangerous, as she just threw All Might through 10 stories, if not thrown him through 10 ground floors. So, she would immediately look over at Deku, as Deku is somewhat just seeing red. He's trying to keep hold of himself, but he can barely do so, doing just one simple thing. Deku's gauntlets are going crazy, as Deku just tries bringing his hands outward, if not bringing them together, as he would click, if not, well, pull. Whenever he does snap them together, they immediately do a manual release, as he would fall to the ground. Deku immediately just trying to go after All Might, as he would just jump down through the floor. Momo would immediately walk over, picking up one of his gauntlets, as she would just be looking at it. She would see exactly how high Deku's heart rate is, along with the fact that it's so high it actually almost did trigger something to knock Deku out to keep him alive. If not, that was actually being pumped into Deku's system. Basically a painkiller that can knock him out. Now, Deku, he is immediately going for All Might, as he actually has put on enough muscle to mimic the Hulk, if not around the Juggernaut's size. Charging straight for All Might, Deku would just smash into him, as he just picks him up and begins to smash him on the ground. If not just charging through and smashing All Might through any building he can find, as Momo would finally come flying in by just launching off the building. All being, sending it, smashing him to the ground, she would finally come in, punching All Might, if not punching both him and Deku across the face, as Deku would somewhat be back in his, right state of mind. He'd be a bit confused, as he would snap his jaw back into place, trying to figure out what the hell just happened. He does look back at his hands as he looks forward at All Might, immediately remembering that they're in a battle, as he would bring his hand up, All Might smashing straight into it, as Deku would just feel barely any pain. He immediately just cocks his hand back, as he does throw it forward, stabbing in All Might's cheek with a bit of a small bone blade he was forming on his arm. He's beginning to mimic Doomsday a bit, with the fact that he is growing a bit of bones as extra layers of armor, if not as defensive and offensive weapons. With the fact being you can't aim there, but if he aims at your body with these, he can begin to take you down. Now, this wouldn't have done a lot of damage. It would have just gone enough to cut into All Might's cheek, if not put a bit of a hole there. Now, Deku, he would have immediately just pulled his hand backwards as he's just staring at it. He's somewhat losing control of this, if not trying to figure it all out, as he would just bring his leg up, kicking All Might in the side. Now, this isn't actually the side that has the injury, but it at least somewhat throws All Might off guard, as he wasn't expecting to get a hole through the face, then be kicked away, as Deku immediately turns running. He's just trying to get to the exit at this point, as if he's losing control now, this is no good. Especially because of how strong his quirk is. Momo would be watching this as she actually would be running over and immediately just jump onto Deku's shoulder. She's asking exactly what he's doing, and that she thought they were at least trying to hold him off, if not take him down. They can do it, right? I don't know. Are you okay? No, my quirk's going haywire. What are you talking about? I don't know what's going on. As soon as I tried adapting to the xenomorphs in the Predator, it felt off. I don't know what the hell happened. So, we're trying to make a beeline for it, right? Yeah, why? Because he's right behind you. As Deku he would just feel All Might's punch smash him in the back as he gets sent flying into the ground. Now, Deku would immediately get back up as he turns around looking at All Might, immediately bringing his fist outwards, throwing it forward, sending a bit of a shockwave as him and All Might would collide hands. Deku would feel the force throughout his entire arm as he immediately brings his other hand outward, grabbing, if not smashing, both their hands together into All Might, as Deku is in a bit of a struggle. Deku is trying to hold back All Might, as he would just say one thing. Young Midori, you've come very far, but whatever just happened to you? I've noticed that you're a bit more calm. Mind explaining that? I'm not sure. I just remember seeing something. It was off. It was weird. I felt connected to something out there. Now, Deku is a bit scared of this. He's never felt that before in his entire life. But All Might does understand that. He would just explain that not knowing it is scary, but he can get through that. Deku would just explain that wasn't it. He thinks he knows exactly what it was. But it's scary knowing what that exactly is, because he can't even explain it to him without him thinking he's crazy. Now, Momo, she would have immediately wrapped as much tendrils of Black Whip around All Might as she could, and immediately began pulling backwards at him. As now Deku is winning their strength match instead of just Deku adapting more and more muscle, towering over All Might as if he's Escanor in the one mode. Now, Deku, he would have immediately began by trying to just let go of All Might, as Momo would just finally pull All Might away, throwing him, if not sending him flying through an entire city block worth of buildings. As Deku would immediately just hold out his hand, Momo immediately latching onto it, as he would just pull her towards him as she is essentially falling onto the ground, if not having a bit of overexertion, with the fact that now she cannot even stand. The amount of running she's done with One For All has done enough damage to her legs that she's gonna be fatigued for quite a bit. Now, Deku, he immediately does turn around, beginning to run again, as he actually does start taking off a lot of this muscle, at least getting faster. So he would finally cross the finish line as All Might, he's right behind Deku. Deku would have turned around to see that All Might's directly in front of them, or if not behind them, and he was about to grab them. If not, he does have his hand on Deku's shoulder, as he did take his first step across the line. Now, All Might, he would have actually just, bring his hands down, as he would just tell Deku that he understands exactly what he's talking about. Dealing with the Yaoja is not easy. As Deku and Momo's eyes begin to widen, All Might knows exactly what they're talking about. So, what else does he know? Now, this is a bit, insane for them, if not insane for Deku. Because that means he doesn't have to hide this from All Might. Neither does Momo, neither does anyone else. So, that is going to be where I leave things off of, guys. I do hope you enjoyed the video. And understand that I wanted to do something a bit different with Deku not just, well, overpowering All Might. He somewhat does lose control and want to get away, if not stop himself from completely and utterly losing his shit. Along with the fact that he would return to get his gauntlets after the match and find them underneath a pile of rubble. If not, at least finding them a bit more damaged. So he would have at least taken them back to the ship to get them repaired, if not upgraded by May, who is improving upon her nanotech in leaps and bounds since she's been able to field test them, if not at least finally get them to do what she wants. With the fact that the information from the ship did provide a little bit, well, newer things. With the fact being that you have to keep things at a steady pulse, if not a steady wave signal, which is a bit harder, but using the signal in Ingenium did provide valuable information. That you essentially need to have a bit of these in your system to help you, well, to help you control them a bit better. Because you can't simply just think about what you want and have it appear, because that's not how nanites work. You have to somewhat have them linked up to your mind, if not like your mask. Now then, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have an amazing day. I will catch you guys in the next part.